Machu Picchu is the most impressive living testimony of Inca civilization.
Machu Picchu was still under construction. That's part of the mystery.
A symbol of secrets, mysteries, and the lost knowledge of the ancients. Experts are still debating its original purpose.
In some ways, it would be easy to build a modern-day Machu Picchu because we have all the heavy equipment.
For decades, Machu Picchu was considered a settled case, built in the 15th century, designed by the Inca. Mystery closed.
Machu Picchu symbolizes the height of Inca architecture and achievement.
That certainty is now starting to crack. Recent scientific findings suggest its story may be far less settled than we were taught. Constructed with astonishing precision.
There have been a lot of different theories about what Machu Picchu is and why it was built.
Despite the absence of iron tools or wheels, the site still resists simple explanation. Now, through radiocarbon dating, DNA analysis, LiDAR, and ground-penetrating radar, researchers are uncovering evidence that challenges Machu Picchu's accepted history.
Is a cutting-edge research scientist studying the effects of altitude on athletic performance.
When scientists started to collect DNA at Machu Picchu, they didn't realize that what they would find would change history forever. When scientists first uncovered Machu Picchu in the early 20th century, they focused mainly on its breathtaking architecture and the artifacts that told a story of Inca engineering and culture. For decades, however, very little was known about the people who actually lived and worked within its stone walls. That began to change dramatically with the advent of ancient DNA analysis. This tool has allowed researchers to peek into the genetic makeup of individuals buried at the site, and it revealed a story far more complex and surprising than anyone ever expected.
Of Machu Picchu, we'll have to see it from very high above.
Scientists analyzed the genomes of 34 individuals buried at Machu Picchu, believed to be Yanacona, which means servants and attendants who spent much of their lives at the royal estate. Unlike earlier archaeological assumptions that the residents of the area were mostly local highlanders or members of extended family groups, the DNA results revealed a striking diversity of origins. Individuals buried at Machu Picchu had genetic signatures not only linked to the Andes highlands, but also to the Pacific coast and deep into the Amazon basin. These are regions separated by thousands of kilometers. This discovery is especially shocking, not just because of how far away these ancestries are, but also because of how it reshapes our understanding of the social and political nature of the Inca Empire.
And what is left to be discovered about Machu Picchu in its most impenetrable areas?
So, this wasn't a homogeneous community drawn from nearby villages. Instead, the people buried at Machu Picchu appear to have come as individuals from across the vast empire. Even stranger, many of those people had no familial genetic ties to one another. Only a few of the analyzed skeletons shared close kinship, suggesting that many of them were relocated to Machu Picchu on their own, rather than as family units. The implications of these findings are shocking. They support historical accounts of Inca labor and resettlement policies, where people from conquered regions were moved to serve at important imperial sites. But even more interesting, the DNA evidence has revealed that Machu Picchu was actually a cosmopolitan community. This community was one where cultural and genetic diversity was the norm long before the age of globalization. Shockingly, this isn't the only strange discovery that was uncovered in Machu Picchu, which will change history forever.
That probably in the master plan of the Incas were going to be integrated to Machu Picchu.
Using the latest LiDAR and ground radar technology, experts found some hidden structures and tunnels in Machu Picchu. Over the last decade, archaeologists have begun to peel back layers of Machu Picchu's history not with shovels, but with lasers and radar, transforming how we understand this iconic Inca site. Using light detection and ranging, also known as LiDAR, which is a remote sensing technology that fires laser pulses from drones or aircraft to create incredibly detailed 3D maps of the ground under the dense vegetation. Researchers have uncovered entire architectural features and landscape patterns that have been hidden from view for many years. In the ceremonial complex of Cachabamba, just a few miles from the familiar stone citadel, scans revealed dozens of previously unknown structures and carved features. These structures and features included small buildings, ritual bath complexes, stone altars, and intricately arranged water channels that supply springs from the Urubamba River. These discoveries suggest that Machu Picchu was part of a far larger and more sophisticated network of ritual, residential, and hydraulic spaces than the ruins we can see. One of the most shocking finds from the LiDAR data is the complex system of stone water channels and partially buried conduits that once fed ceremonial baths and fountains. By virtually pouring water through digital models of these systems, archaeologists have shown that their design was highly intentional. It might have been for symbolic or ritual functions rather than for domestic water use. This kind of evidence doesn't only reveal the physical structures, but also the ideological and ceremonial landscapes that Incas created. But aside from the shocking evidence revealed by LiDAR, ground-penetrating radar and other geophysical tools are beginning to uncover subsurface anomalies and voids beneath key buildings. It means that there are archaeological structures yet to be excavated. While full excavation remains limited because of the concerns about preservation, these radar-detected voids suggest buried chambers or architectural layers that researchers never even knew existed, changing history forever. The implications of these technology-driven discoveries are profound. Instead of seeing Machu Picchu as an isolated mountaintop citadel, modern scanning is revealing a sprawling ceremonial landscape integrated with regional pathways, purification centers, and water systems. With the development of LiDAR coverage and radar surveys, archaeologists expect to find even more hidden structures and landscape patterns in Machu Picchu. But when scientists decided to carry out radiocarbon dating on this structure, they realized that the region was newer than you might think. For decades, the story of when Machu Picchu was built rested mainly on historical accounts written after the Spanish conquest. The texts placed its construction squarely in the mid-15th century under the Inca emperor Pachacuti. Those accounts served as the basis of Inca chronology for generations. But over the last few years, scientific evidence from advanced radiocarbon dating has shaken that narrative. It seems like this famous citadel might be much older than historians have long believed. In a landmark study led by Yale University archaeologist Richard Berger, researchers applied accelerator mass spectrometry, a highly precise form of radiocarbon dating, to the bones and teeth recovered from human burials around Machu Picchu. These remains were excavated in the early 20th century and were long used to study life at the site, but only recently have they been systematically dated with modern methods. The results showed continuous occupation of Machu Picchu from at least AD 1420 to AD 1530, with some evidence hinting that people might have been living there even before 1420. This is a major shift from the previously accepted timeline, which was based largely on Spanish colonial records asserting that Machu Picchu was constructed after Pachacuti seized power in AD 1438 and consolidated the empire. The new radiocarbon dates push the site's founding by at least 2 decades, but they also imply that the rise of Pachacuti and early expansion of the Inca Empire might have happened much earlier than we could have ever believed. The implications of these findings are far-reaching. For one, they show the limitations of relying mostly on written records, especially those authored by conquerors with their own agendas and biases. Radiocarbon evidence provides an independent scientific timestamp that helps refine and challenge traditional chronology. Archaeologists now argue that scientific data must be integrated more fully alongside historical sources to build a more accurate picture of ancient timelines. What's more, earlier dates raise broader questions about how and why Machu Picchu was used during its early centuries. If the site was already established by 1420, could it have served functions or held significance before Pachacuti's reign? Could it have been a ceremonial or administrative center before it became a royal estate? Well, whatever it was, these structures held sophisticated water management systems. High on the slopes of the Andes, Machu Picchu is a triumph of ancient engineering.
Machu Picchu, located at the center of this once expansive empire, is one of the few well-preserved remnants of the Inca civilization,
especially in how it managed water. In a region with steep terrain and heavy seasonal rain, the Incas developed a water system that's so sophisticated that it still functions more than 500 years after it was built. At the heart of Machu Picchu's water infrastructure is a carefully designed, gravity-fed system. Long before mechanical pumps or modern plumbing ever even existed, Inca engineers found a natural spring high on the north slope of the mountain. It developed a stone-lined canal, more than 749 meters long, to bring water into the city. The canal, only about 10 to 16 centimeters wide, was engineered with a precise slope to ensure water flowed reliably into the settlement. Once inside the site, water wasn't simply stored or consumed, but it was distributed through a remarkable sequence of 16 stone foundations, arranged like a staircase, each fed by the spring and connected by meticulously cut channels. This so-called stairway of fountains didn't only supply fresh water to inhabitants and ceremonial areas, but it also showcased the Inca mastery of both function and aesthetics. The first fountain was located near the ruler's residence and is a symbol of priority, while the other fountains flowed through public and ritual spaces, creating a practical water delivery system and a living symbol of order and harmony. But Machu Picchu's hydraulic brilliance goes beyond supply. The Incas also constructed an extensive underground drainage network to handle the region's heavy rainfall and prevent erosion and structural damage. Channels built into walls, stairways, and terraces intercepted runoff and directed it safely out of the city, keeping buildings and agricultural terraces stable through centuries of wet seasons. What's more, the recent LiDAR and hydrodynamic analyses have even revealed that some channels radiating from ceremonial areas were engineered for symbolic and ritual purposes, not just utility, integrating water into the spiritual and physical life of the citadel. Machu Picchu's water system demonstrates that the Incas possessed a deep understanding of hydrology, topography, and materials science, all achieved without any metal tools or written plans. Their ability to design, build, and maintain such resilient infrastructure challenges all we knew about pre-industrial societies. In fact, it reveals that long before the Europeans, the Andean civilization had very advanced engineering precision, and what scientists found changed the course of history forever. High in the Andes, Machu Picchu's engineering precision continues to astonish scientists, historians, and engineers alike, not just for what was built, but for how it was achieved. The Inca constructed this sprawling stone city without iron tools, wheels, or written blueprints, yet the structures they left behind showcase a level of craftsmanship that continues to challenge modern capabilities. What scientists found was shocking at Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu is the most impressive living testimony of Inca civilization.
As the site was built with dry stone masonry. Huge granite blocks were quarried, shaped, and fitted together with such precision that even today, it's difficult to slide a knife blade between them. This precision wasn't random. The stones interlock in 3 dimensions, often with multiple angled faces that create strong, flexible walls without the use of mortar. This technique also makes the structures highly earthquake-resistant, as the interlocking stones can shift slightly and settle back without collapsing during tremors. This has helped Machu Picchu survive centuries of seismic activity. But that meticulous craftsmanship doesn't end with stone fitting. Archaeological and archaeoastronomical research has revealed that several key structures at Machu Picchu were aligned with remarkable celestial precision, indicating a deep understanding of astronomy and geometry. For instance, the famous Intihuatana stone and the Temple of the Sun were positioned and shaped so they align with solar events like the solstices and equinoxes, serving both ceremonial and calendrical purposes. After scientists carried out modern 3D laser scans,
The wall Dominica has located today will soon be excavated and can then be 3D modeled and studied in closer detail.
and realized that their alignments deviate by only fractions of a degree, which means the Inca builders did this intentionally. Scientists still have fascinating questions about Inca engineering knowledge. After all, how did a pre-industrial society with no metal tools, harder than bronze, and no written surveying instruments plan and execute a construction so mathematically and astronomically precise? Researchers believe that this precision was achieved through careful observation, oral tradition, and generations of practical training, but they are still studying the exact methods used to build this structure. Machu Picchu is not just a remarkable architectural site, but a testament to sophisticated understanding of geometry, astronomy, and engineering that challenges how we think about pre-Columbian civilizations. But as scientists dug into the Machu Picchu structures, they found some unusual tools and materials that they didn't expect to come from that time. At first glance, Machu Picchu's enduring stone citadel seems to be the product of monumental masonry alone, yet excavations and scientific studies have revealed that the ancient inhabitants also worked with a wide range of metals and specialized tools that tell a rich story of technology and cultural exchange. While stone was the main construction material, archaeologists have recorded major evidence of metalworking and unexpected artifact types at Machu Picchu.
To understand the magnitude of Machu Picchu, we'll have to see it from very high above.
Revealing a high level of sophistication in craft and material use. The 1912 Yale, Peru scientific expedition, led by Hiram Bingham, uncovered typical Andean ceramics and stone tools, but also metal stock, metalworking debris, tools, and unfinished objects that point to active metallurgical production at the site. These finds include hammers, molds, and other implements used in shaping bronze and working metals. These materials were probably brought in from other parts of the empire, while others were manufactured on-site. The metal objects found at the site reflect a range of alloy compositions, like tin bronze, which was used in the Inca state over older copper arsenic alloys. Analysis of these artifacts indicates that metals were sourced from different regions within the Inca realm and reveals how Machu Picchu was part of a broader economic and cultural network that moved raw materials and specialized craftsmen across vast distances. Aside from the metal tools and production debris, researchers have identified exotic artifact types at Machu Picchu that don't fit neatly into typical Inca toolkits. For instance, certain tweezers and blade forms resemble styles from other Andean regions. These objects raise questions about cultural interaction and artifact circulation within the empire. They show that Machu Picchu was not merely a stone city, but a complex economic and artisanal hub, with metalworking and material specialization that reflected long-distance connections and sophisticated craft knowledge. Meanwhile, the discoveries of Machu Picchu all started when scientists found the entire ruins, changing the course of history forever. In the early 20th century, the remote heights of the Andes hid one of history's most breathtaking archaeological treasures, the sprawling ruins of Machu Picchu. While indigenous farmers and local Quechua people were long familiar with the site, it was American explorer and Yale lecturer Hiram Bingham III who brought Machu Picchu to global attention in 1911 and in subsequent expeditions. Bingham, sponsored by Yale University and the National Geographic Society, led a series of explorations in 1912 and 1915 that would change history forever and transform everything we thought we knew about the Inca civilization. From 1912 onward, Bingham and his team systematically excavated terraces, tombs, and ceremonial areas, uncovering thousands of artifacts, including ceramics, metal objects, jewelry, stone tools, and the skeletal remains of individuals who had lived, worked, and died at this majestic mountaintop city. By the standards of the day, Bingham had legal permission from the Peruvian government to remove these finds for scientific study. This allowed him to transport over 46,000 crates of artifacts to Yale under a clause that reserved Peru's right to demand the return of unique or duplicate items. Over the next century, the artifacts rested in Yale's Peabody Museum of Natural History. They became invaluable to researchers studying Inca culture and technology, offering insights into ceremonial life, burial practices, and the Incas' remarkable engineering skills. Yet, amid the tens of thousands of objects, there were 3 enigmatic crates that were sealed and never opened. Their content was left undocumented in official inventories. What could lie inside them? Were they simply overlooked fragments? Or did they hold objects of unusual materials, form, or significance that confounded early scholars? The mystery of these unopened containers has fueled speculation and rumors among scholars and enthusiasts alike. So it's clear that there's some hidden knowledge about Machu Picchu that might still be locked away. The dispute over these artifacts has lasted for decades. Peru maintained that the objects were only loaned and rightly belonged to the nation, while Yale argued legality under early law. In the early 2000s, negotiations intensified, leading to an agreement to return most of the collection. Between 2011 and 2012, thousands of boxes were repatriated to Peru, where they now enrich museums and scholarships near Machu Picchu. Meanwhile, experts carried out a geological analysis which revealed strange erosion patterns in Machu Picchu. Geological analysis has added a new and unsettling dimension to the mystery of Machu Picchu, suggesting that parts of the site may be far older than the commonly accepted 15th century Inca timeline. While traditional archaeological dates Machu Picchu to around AD 1450, geological observations described in recent decades point to erosion patterns that seem to be inconsistent with only 600 years of exposure, raising questions that are difficult to ignore. Detailed erosion analysis of Machu Picchu's lower terraces and foundational stonework has revealed weathering patterns that are normally connected with long-term exposure to running water. These patterns include rounded stone edges, deep vertical channels, and surface smoothing that usually require thousands of years of sustained rainfall and runoff, not mere centuries. This discrepancy has led some geologists to propose that Machu Picchu may not be a single-phase construction project. Instead, the site could represent multiple building periods, with the Incas inheriting or repurposing an already ancient complex. The lower stonework, heavily weathered and deeply integrated into the mountain itself, appears fundamentally different in age and exposure than the finely cut upper temples typically attributed to Inca craftsmanship. What makes this evidence particularly shocking is that water erosion of this scale cannot easily be explained by climate alone within a 600-year window. Even accounting for the Andes' intense seasonal rains, the level of degradation observed on certain stones aligns more closely with geological timescales measured in millennia. This implies that parts of Machu Picchu may have existed long before the rise of the Inca Empire, possibly as a sacred, ceremonial, or strategic site used by an earlier civilization. If Machu Picchu was built atop much older foundations, it challenges the idea that the Incas created the site entirely from scratch. Instead, they may have been masterful renovators and engineers, adapting and enhancing an ancient place already shaped by time and nature. With all these revelations, scientists are trying to find out more about the underground spaces in Machu Picchu and discover what was really there. For decades, Machu Picchu has been studied not just from above, but below its surface as well, and modern technology has repeatedly suggested that there may be hidden chambers, voids, and architectural features beneath the visible ruins. However, while techniques like ground-penetrating radar have revealed shocking underground anomalies, efforts to explore these subsurface spaces using advanced, non-invasive tools have often been blocked or denied by Peruvian authorities, sparking debate. In the early 2000s, a French explorer called Thierry Jamin used ground-penetrating radar to scan areas of Machu Picchu and identified cavities beneath major structures, including what may be voids or chambers below the urban sector of the citadel. The radar data suggested spaces that don't match the currently mapped architecture, fueling hypotheses about sealed burial chambers or storage spaces that could contain important archaeological material. Jamin's work, which combined radar surveys and electromagnetic imaging, indicated there could be underground compartments extending up to 20 meters below the surface, possibly containing objects or deposits of cultural significance. His team even reported anomalies suggesting the presence of non-ferrous metals within the cavities. Despite this, the Ministry of Culture in Peru denied permission to excavate or further investigate these subsurface structures. They are concerned about damaging the integrity of the World Heritage Site and the risk that intrusive work could destabilize already fragile stone walls and terraces. Even worse, the proposals to use modern, non-destructive scanning technologies like lithium atom resonance scanning, which can detect subsurface anomalies without digging, have been restricted or delayed in large part due to strict conservation policies. On the one hand, researchers argue that the hidden spaces may hold buried chambers, artifacts, or architectural phases that could reshape understanding of Machu Picchu's construction and use, potentially shedding light on Inca funerary practices or administrative functions. On the other hand, preservationists and authorities emphasize that protecting the structural integrity of a fragile and globally important archaeological site must take priority. With this, Many experts are wondering when they would ever be able to find out the truth about the structures that are under Machu Picchu and the truth about the ancient sighting. Scientists have been digging into Machu Picchu for over a century and are still unable to find out the complete truth, especially about the 3 hidden crates. What do you think is the weirdest aspect of Machu Picchu? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. So, thanks for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.